How we doing? Doing good? It's been a hot week for me. Ryan is excited to get out of the AC. I was a little struggling with the heat today, last couple of days. But it's good. I think with all the heat, the Lord's been turning up the heat in my life as well. So I've had a lot of things rattling around in my head, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get them out tonight because I've really been asking, Lord, what are you saying to us? Right? We've had this for months now. It seemed like the beginning of the year, the Spirit was really ramping up. There was, for me, it's always like we're on the cusp of something incredible. It's this journey with Jesus. He's there and he's here and he's here, and it's always like you read these stories, you get into this book, and it's like, God, when is this? I want this. I want what you were doing then. I want, and then I feel him here, and it's like, but you're here. I don't have to wait because you're here, and I know you can do these things, and we're on the cusp of something. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you, but it's this feeling, this stirring I've been having. And then I start reading his words, and he says crazy things to us, like just crazy things. Steve and I we were talking the other day at lunch. It's like, how many times in the Bible does it say, ask anything you want, and I will do it for you? Like, when am I going to get there? When am I going to get to that point, Lord? I've asked for a lot of things, or at least I think I've asked for a lot of things. I know I want a lot of things. I think I want a lot of good things. And I wonder, Lord, are we on the cusp of getting to that place where we can ask anything? Because you said it's over 10 times it's said in different ways in the New Testament. Ask anything. And my Father in heaven will do it for you. Ask anything in my name, and my Father in heaven will do it for you. And so this journey of thinking about, like, Lord, why am I not seeing the things that I'm asking for? Why are we not seeing the things that we're asking for? Because it's plain as day. You say it here. Ask. And it's like delivered with joy. It's not like, when you're bugging your dad at home, like Oliver does this all the time. Dad, I've cleaned my room. I did my homework. Can I play Nintendo? And, my response, because I'm imperfect, is, I guess, maybe, possibly. Let me think about it. Right? But that's not how it's delivered in the Bible. It's not ask for anything and maybe, possibly, your Father in heaven will think about it. And if he's in a good mood tonight, he might possibly do something for you. That's not the way it's written. That's not the way that it's delivered. When Jesus says it, you can hear the joy in his voice. You get into this book and you read his words, and you ingest the stories of Jesus with his disciples and Jesus with the people that he ministered to, and you can kind of pick up when he's annoyed. The Pharisees are around, and you can understand. He's annoyed. The stupid Pharisees. He's like, how long will I have to put up with this wicked, evil generation? Peter asked the wrong thing, and you get behind me, Satan. No, but when he delivers these promises, you can hear them. It's like, it'll be my Father's good pleasure to take care of you. It'll be my Father's good pleasure to answer your prayers, to deliver to you the promises of heaven. There's joy in his voice when he makes these promises to us. And so I'm thinking, like, Lord, why we're on the cusp of it. I can feel it. I know it's who you are. I know it's what you want to do. And there's so many needs. There's so many things that need to be made right. Steve's been talking about being made well. There's so many of us that need things to be made well in our lives. There's things that need to be put in order in our lives. And I watch from an outside perspective, and I was just like, Lord, they need you. They need this. They need this promise to be true. They need this gospel to come alive in their life. What are we missing to get the things that we're asking for? And then I read, because like, I don't have the answer to the question, and I ask, and sometimes it's like, hello. Sometimes I ask the Lord like silly questions, and his answers come, so quickly. It's like incredible. If you struggle to hear the Lord on the big issues in your life, this is for free. If you struggle to hear the Lord on the big issues of your life, what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to marry? Where am I supposed to work? Where am I supposed to go? Ask him some silly questions. I was talking to a girl years ago, and she was really struggling to believe that the Lord would actually want to talk to her. And I said, well, what do you like? She's talking about her garden and really just liking to plant flowers and the different colors that come up. And sometimes you plant a flower and you don't know what color it's going to be. I said, well, why don't you ask the Lord what his favorite flower is? Just, you can't hear him in all these big things. What are you, he made you and you really like flowers. So why don't you talk to him about something that you like? And all of a sudden she came back the next week. She's like, I heard him. He really likes tulips. So I planted some tulips and they came out blue. I don't know if they were tulips, but So sometimes I ask the Lord just silly things, like, should I get gas tonight or tomorrow? Do you think I have time for it? And he'll be like, no, get it tonight. Tomorrow you're going to be rushed and you're going to be short with your kids. Get it tonight. I was like, oh, I can't believe I heard you so easily. I'm going, and then I'll ask him silly things, like that, and I'll hear him quick, and I'll know it's him because I've grown to be familiar with what his voice sounds like. And other times it's like, this is a good question to ask. It's like, I know he wants to answer this question because I know how much he loves us. I know how much he loves you. And there's things that you have been praying for. There's things that you have been believing for. There's things you've been standing for, some of you for years. And I know you on the basis that I know you, and I love most of you. No, sort of. No. I put up with the majority. No. I love you guys. Like, I sit down and I have a conversation, and as we get to know each other, maybe if I didn't like you and we sit in the same room and I begin to hear your story and I begin to hear what you've gone through to get to where you're at, and I go, man, all this compassion wells up in me. All this care and concern for your life wells up inside of me, and I start to love you. And if I can love you, believe me, it's a miracle. If I can love you, my wife knows, like, she's burying her head. That's why the Lord sent me Lindsay. She taught me how to love people. If I can love you, how much more does he love you? I am far from perfect. And so I'm asking this question, getting back to the topic, I'm getting sidetracked. Get back to the question. This is a good question to ask, and it's like nothing. What are we doing wrong? What are we missing? And about, crickets, I started asking back in January, because it's like in January something was stirring in me, and I was like, it's going to happen. The time is now. They were doing that little revival wherever it was at that college, and I was like, man, the time is now. The dam is about to burst. It's going to happen. And maybe, it is happening, but I know there's more. And I'm asking this question. And a couple of weeks ago, it really started. The Lord, it's like, again, just all of a sudden I can hear him talking about it. And Steve was up here screaming out, Son of David. Don't pass me by. Blind Bartimaeus, Son of David, don't pass me by. And he just spoke. He said, I can only do what you believe that I can do. I can only answer the prayers that you believe that I can answer. I can only be who you recognize me as in your life. I got it. What are we missing? We're so satisfied in what we know of him already. I'm not satisfied. I have been. And in front of you, I repent. I have been. But I'm not satisfied anymore. This whole book, all these stories we have from the very beginning to the very end, all it is a book of stories of people who came to know God. One way or the other, they came to know God and they responded to who they believed he was. We have from Noah to Moses to Saul, King Saul and King David, we have all these men and these women responding to who they knew God was, who they believed him to be. And out of their responses, these incredible, miraculous things happened, and these terrible, awful sufferings happened based on their response to who he was. Like, I think about the Israelites, because I just wandering in the desert. What we wouldn't pay to see the things that they saw. I don't know, maybe you wouldn't pay anything. I would pay a lot to see the things that they saw. Literal pillar of fire in front of me. Visual evidence God is here in our camp. Man. And Moses got it. Joshua got it. Caleb got it. But a whole generation of Israelites didn't get it. Why didn't they get it? Because of who they believed him to be. See, to Moses, God was the God that is with you, the God that is for you. To the Israelites, he was just another taskmaster. They had grown up as slaves in Egypt. He was just another taskmaster. He was just another entity telling them what they could and could not do, and when they were to get up and when they were going to go to bed and where they were going to go. He was just another taskmaster. And because he was just another taskmaster, they missed that whole generation, missed out on the promised land and the land that was flowing with milk and honey. And the miracles that took place as the Israelites went into battle in that land, where cities fell at the sound of trumpets, and giants just fell over dead without ever being touched by a human being, because the angels were fighting alongside the Israelites, because the generation that went into the promised land knew that it was God that was with them. They understood. So I've been just challenged, just stirring, just what are we missing about who you are? What are we failing to understand? What are we failing to grasp in who you are and what you want to do with us? What do you want to do in Orville? What do you want to do with our lives? Because I know you're not just another taskmaster. You're not just another person that wants, entity that wants to tell me what to do and tell me what not to do. Because I've tasted, I've seen, I've felt your love. I've heard your promises. I've heard your voice, the kindness in your voice, the love in your eyes. So, I'm running out of time quick. He said to me, who I am in this community is dependent upon who you will be to me. Who I am in this community is dependent upon who you will be to me. If we are sons and daughters, then the community will see a father. If we are only servants, they will see a taskmaster. If we are sons and we are daughters to him, then this community will see a father. They will see him. We will be able to answer like Jesus answered his disciples. You know the Father because you know me. Why? Because he was a son. We have what Jesus had, and we don't understand this because it's a mystery, this idea of becoming the temple of the living God. But he said, you have seen the Father because I and the Father are one. That's the promise of the gospel, that he would come and make his home in us, and that he and I, he and you would be one. We treat him, we represent him in so many misconstrued ways. We cheapen his holy standard of life by our actions. We cheapen his righteousness by our shortcomings. We take it for granted, and we say, "Oh, there will be grace to cover that." And why do we struggle with the idea that the community can't see who he is? Because we're not showing him that he's a righteous, fervent, holy God who has a standard that is unchangeable. It required the death of his son, the blood of his son, to be shed in order to even give us the chance, the opportunity to approach him without being crushed and killed by his holiness. Just think of that for a second. What he's done for you. To even be able to have that conversation. And remember, it's a conversation about flowers. It doesn't have to always be some religious exercise. It doesn't have to be a task. It can be a conversation about flowers, but we have to understand, who are we to you? Who am I to you? You are the son that I paid everything I had to possess. There was a cost to the relationship I have with you, and that cost was everything. You, his daughters, his sons. There's a cost to the relationship that he wants to have with us. Who are we to him? And why? What are we asking for? How are we responding to him? We're going to flip quickly to Luke 8. We'll talk a little bit about the woman with the issue of blood. And so we're going to skip through whoever's back there. Who's back there? Riv? We're going to skip through, but I'm going to give it a little synopsis, right? There's a big, huge crowd around Jesus, so many people pressing in upon him that he can barely move. He's pushing through the crowd. And the woman with the issue of blood, who's been bleeding for 12 years, ceremonially unclean. She's not supposed to be out among people. If she gets caught in this crowd, there could be trouble to pay. And they heard that, didn't they? And she goes and she says in verse 44, she knew that if she could only touch the hem of his cloak, she would be healed. And she gets up behind him. She touched the fringe of his cloak, and immediately her hemorrhage stopped. Who was he to her? Who was he to her? See, we were talking about blind Bartimaeus the other day, and he was the one that screamed out, "Son of David, don't pass me by." Poor guy was blind. He couldn't see the fringe of his cloak. So he did what he had to do to get Jesus' attention. But this woman, she could see, and she understood. Who is this man that I'm going to risk everything to touch? Well, he's a loving, kind, passionate Savior. He is who he said he would be. Compassionate, kind, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love, merciful. And if I can only touch the fringe of his cloak, I know that I will receive what I'm asking for. Because I know who he is. I understand. Another girl that I want to talk about, we're going to flip real quick to Matthew 15. And she's one of my favorite. She's one of my favorite women in the entire Bible. I just love this story. I can't get enough of it. It drives me nuts. And that's the Syrophoenician woman. And she's the one she has this sick daughter at home who's dying, right? And Jesus is at a dinner party. And it says in verse 21, Jesus went away from there and withdrew into the district of Tyre and Sidon, and a Canaanite woman from that region came out and began to cry out, saying, "Have mercy on me, Lord." And there's that phrase again, "Son of David. My daughter is cruelly demon-possessed." This is just like, these verses, just they floor me every time, because this is not how I expect Jesus to respond. But it says, "But he did not answer her a word." It didn't stumble her for a second. Here she is. Her daughter is demon-possessed, cruelly demon-possessed, it says. And she's crying out. She's saying the right thing. She's saying, "Have mercy, Lord, Son of David. Son of David." It doesn't say how many times she asked, but she must have been asking quite a few times. And it says, he did not answer her a word. And it didn't deter her because she knew who he was. Abounding in steadfast love. See, these are the promises of the Old Testament. He's a merciful, kind, abounding in steadfast love, holy, righteous, powerful. She knew who he was, so she persisted. And the disciples came and implored him, saying, "Send her away because she keeps shouting at us." And Peter, I wonder if Peter and Jesus had a conversation after this. You know what? Get behind me, Peter. But he answered and said, again, something I would not expect Jesus to say, but he says, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." I'm not here for you, basically is what he's saying. I'm not here for you. This woman, man, I probably would have given up at, he's ignoring me. I must be rejected. I must not be good enough. But she's in humility, desperate. Son of David. And he says, "I'm not here for you." But she came and began to bow down before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he says this thing that just floors me every time. He says, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." Jesus said, "What?" And historians, they've explained the insult away. They've said, well, it was a common phrase of the time that meant pet dog. And that's how the Jews would refer to the Gentiles. They call them dogs. That doesn't make it any less insulting in this situation. My daughter is cruelly demon-possessed. Son of David, help me. It's not right for me to take my children's food and give it to the dogs. And she's not taken back an inch. And she responds with one of the, I feel it. What would my response to be? So many things Jesus has corrected me with over the years. So many ugly things, like Ryan was saying. You start to ask the Lord to show you yourself, and you're so crooked and you're so bent, and he says these things. It's like, oh, I don't want to hear it. Stop talking to me. Stop convicting me. And here he is calling this woman a dog, and she doesn't miss a beat. She says, "Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord." Call me whatever you will. But even the dogs feed on the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Call me a dog if I'm a dog, but you're my master. And even the dogs in the master's house eat from the crumbs that fall from the master's table. And you know what falls from your table? I know what falls from your table. Mercy, compassion, justice, kindness, goodness, righteousness falls from your table because you are the Son of David. And if I'm a dog in your house, so be it. Let me be a dog in your house. But I will eat of the crumbs that fall from my master's table. And I feel like some of us, that's where we're at. We're tired of being convicted. We're tired of being shown that we're not straight, that we're not plumb, that we've got work to do in the areas of our lives. We're just, I don't want to hear it. I've been asking for years, are you ignoring me? He didn't answer her a word. Send us away. Time's done. Service is over. Send us away. Let us get back to our work. He's obviously not hearing me. He's obviously not paying attention. When's this gonna wrap up? When we have this attitude, when we have this position of our heart, we will never eat of the crumbs that fall from our master's table. He's I really am running out of time. But he's a God of so much abundance. He's a God of so much miraculous provision. We have not even an iota of understanding of how much there is for us in the kingdom. Are you guys desperate for some crumbs? I'm desperate for some crumbs. Stand with me. What does he want to tell you? Who is he to you? You feel like he's ignoring you? You feel like you've been crying out and he doesn't hear you? Are you willing to persist? Do you feel like he's sending you out? That everybody else is getting tired of you and they want you to leave? Are you willing to persist? Is he calling you out? Is he convicting? Is he revealing things that need to change in your life? Are you willing to persist? Right now, in your own way, just begin to cry out, Son of David, Jesus, don't pass me by. Jesus, don't pass me by. You are who you say that you are. You are never changing. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. You are a God of abundant righteousness, of justice, of holiness. You are a God kind and slow to anger, merciful and compassionate. Son of David, do not pass us by. We want you, Jesus. Do not pass us by. Help us to see you as you are. Help us to know you for who you are. And respond to you in truth. If we have to be dogs in your house, Lord, let us be dogs that eat the crumbs from the master's table. For the things that fall from your table are healings and miracles and love unspeakable, joy unspeakable, peace that passes understanding, a strength that wells up from within like a stream of living water. These are the things that fall from your table. Now everybody just quiet yourself if you can. Who does he say you are? Can you hear him call you a son? Can you hear him call you a daughter? Do you know it to be true? And don't come to your master's table. Come to your Father's table. For there is a table set before us, he says. And we've been invited to eat of its banquet. What do you need to ask him for? What do you need to ask him for? Can you see what you need on his table? Some of you, you're afraid to ask because you don't know that you're invited. You don't know that you have a place at the table. That's okay, because even the dogs get what falls from that table. But if you know that you're invited, see what you have need of on that table and ask for it. Respond to him as a son. Respond to him as a daughter. Believe he has what you need. Because they're going to see who we see. They're going to see who we become because of who we've seen in him. Amen. Amen.
Thank you for watching the Father's House Oroville YouTube channel. But don't stop there. Please subscribe to our channel and help us spread the message of Jesus to all your friends and family by sharing our videos. You can also help support us financially by clicking the Give button. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you again soon.